You are now listening to the Cut and Caliber Podcast.
Oh, you're rolling.
We're rolling now, dude.
He doesn't even give warning. He just presses play and then
I think that's just like, but you know,
Brings out
instead of
the-
like waiting, you just like you hit play.
and then you let it go.
Yeah,
Well,
you just hit record. So this is it.
this is the Cut and Caliber podcast.
Yeah, the
And-
coffee conversation with Cut and Caliber. Is that allowed a case?
Well, there's not
There's
almost
no,
any
I don't think
case
there's
in
any
there.
case in there.
Sorry, cuss sound.
There's literally zero case.
The cuss sound.
Yeah,
The C sound.
sure.
Coffee conversation with Cut and Caliber. Today we're here with Mikey Huff.
There's a case.
Yeah, there's a K.
I see what you did
Mikey Huff, it's funny because last time we did this coffee conversation, we did it with Casey. Now we're doing it with Mikey. Both leather workers,
Both K's in the names.
both K's in the name. Mikey also does a lot of stuff. So
Why don't you tell us?
yeah, I
what
would say
You could
let's
probably
run
sum it up
let's-
better than we
Let's
can.
run them down. Let's run them down. So you're a photographer.
Yeah, photographer is like the main money maker of the things. That's what pays the bills.
Yep. And then you also run a nonprofit.
Yeah, and that's the Wool Sock Project, working with the homeless community here in Anchorage, and that's sort of in the photo realm also.
Yeah.
Sure.
Then we have the gallery down the road that I help run.
Yep.
The Aquila space.
Another.
Well, let's stop with the K's. All right.
Yeah. There's one more, right? No, maybe that's it.
Huff Goods.
Huff Goods. Yeah, that's the leather work.
Yeah. So
That's-
I mean,
That's more of a hobby at this point than anything
Really?
else. It's not. It's never. I mean, when I had the menswear store, it was like my moneymaker. But now it's like,
Passion project.
Yeah.
now it's just like something I do to keep my hands busy.
yeah,
Right.
I get that.
So-
That's cool, man. You're a busy boy.
Yeah.
You got a lot going on.
Well,
You
two
got a
of
lot
them.
of balls to juggle.
Two of them that we know about, but probably most people don't, is the details of Wool Sock and then Aquila, because we're familiar with those.
Yeah, sure.
So just like the elevator pitch for both.
Yeah.
of us.
So the Wool Sock Project started out as like an initiative for me to help out the homeless community here and try to use my skill sets, which are photography, storytelling, and community building, to benefit more than just myself, because I felt like I was going through life just building up my own kingdom, and I wanted to try to use those to uplift a community that I think is often overlooked. And so I decided to go out on the streets with a backpack full of wool socks and give them out in exchange for a story, and if they were willing, a photograph. And through that, I started to share those stories with the community at large, and we started to receive donations and grow those care packages past just a pair of socks. And now we give away hand warmers, foot warmers, food, tents, sleeping bags,
wow.
boots, whatever we can do to make guys' lives a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then Aquila Space grew off of Aquila Collective, which is an artist collective that I helped form with a few of my friends. And we decided to take some of the money that we were raising doing artist management to give back to Anchorage's art community in some way. So we opened up this space where we're able to help developing artists produce their first shows or just expand their bodies of work in a physical space.
Yeah.
Right. And that's downtown under the Sky Bridge, Fifth Avenue.
Six.
It's right
Sixth
here.
Avenue.
Yeah, Sixth
Yeah,
Avenue.
it's just a few
Right
blocks
down
from
the
where we are.
Right.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
That is really cool. And I've seen like your Wool Sock videos, and I've seen you talk about it, but I kind of want to go into more depth about what Wool Sock Project is and why you started it and how you started it. Like, how did you go about starting a nonprofit? Like,
Sure.
was it just, like, did it just kind of grow into that, or was that the plan all along, or you just like you wanted? Because now, for the people that don't live in Anchorage, the homeless population here, I feel like, is growing
Yeah, constantly.
like it's epidemic almost, and so did you see that as kind of like, this is a problem and this is something that I can kind of help out with and try to get the word out? Like, what was the ideas behind forming the Wool Sock Project? Was there, was it always there?
Well, to step backwards a little bit, it kind of grew out of just a weird period of my life, which was actually this year this time last year almost exactly, and I owned a menswear store in downtown Anchorage, and I was business partners with my girlfriend at the time. We split up and dissolved our business, and so I was sitting down and I thought, I had this relationship I've been in for years. I had this business, I had income, and now all that's gone.
Yeah.
And I had to think, like, what am I going to do moving forward? And it was really good for me to have that restart, because it's seldom in life that we have an opportunity to sit back and, like, look at where our goals were and, like, where we are. Unless you really set aside time for that. A lot of people just go through day by day and really, look at your goals from time to time, but it's rare that we actually look at, like, are those goals still where we want to be, And so I had an opportunity to do that and look and see where I was going and where I really wanted to go. Right. And that's sort of when I realized that. I was like, all my endeavors right now have been selfish. Like, I'm not benefiting anyone by selling them denim.
Yeah.
I'm the only one benefiting out of that. I mean, they're getting a cool pair of denim, but still, it didn't feel like I was really helping out.
In the big scheme of things.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it all stemmed from, if I look back, I saw a post on Facebook that just said that the number one requested items at homeless shelters were a pair of socks. And I thought, I'd seen the same cast of characters.
Is that just in Alaska, or was that national?
National. And I saw the same group of guys go through downtown, just kind of cyclically, just like the same people coming through. And I thought, I can afford a pair of socks. If that's what they need, I can afford a pair of socks. And so I loaded up a backpack and I went out. And I just sat down with guys and just asked them to share some of their story with me. And through that, I started to break down some of the preconceived notions that I had. And what I realized is, like, I think the biggest wall between us and building compassion for other human beings is the assumptions that we make about them. So, like, we see these guys, and media tells us that they're all alcoholics, they're all drug addicts, they're all criminals.
Bad people.
Yeah.
I mean, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
That's kind of the narrative, is kind of like, they're not good people, therefore that's why they're homeless. Yeah, I was going to ask you if you're more empathetic now.
Totally.
After being involved in this than you were before, because I imagine you challenge yourself on those ideas after meeting somebody and being like, this person just had a bad roll of the dice over the past 10 years, or even a year. It doesn't take long to have stuff wiped out and then you not know how to handle that in terms of, well, if your spouse leaves you and takes everything with you or with them, like, you don't have anything. And you're in a nutshell homeless.
Think of all the people that come up, like, fly up here for work, like come up here to get a job somewhere, and then maybe they get cut off and they were living paycheck to paycheck. Divorce is a big one.
Sure.
And for Anchorage, we're kind of a hub for the medical facilities, so a lot of guys will get ticketed out of their villages to come up here, like Native Alaskans will get ticketed out of their villages to come get medical help or mental health help. And when they get here and they go through the rigmarole of the systems, a lot of times they don't have resources past that, so they'll end up on the streets, or even while they're being treated for things, they are often on the streets. And so that was really interesting. For me, a big one was realizing how close a lot of us are that are living paycheck to paycheck from ending up on the streets.
You're, in a nutshell, you're one medical situation away from being home. I mean,
one bad car accident.
Exactly.
Anything.
Even if you survive, if you're paying $1 million to get surgery and everything care done after the time, if you're planning on paying that back, I mean, you don't have anything.
One of the guys that I interact with on a daily basis, he got in a drunken brawl downtown one night. He was just out drinking, got in a fight. He got arrested, got an assault charge, went to jail for like 6 months. Came out, lost his job, lost his relationship. Didn't have an apartment anymore, and he's like, well, I don't have any money. What do I do? Now he's homeless.
Wow. Heartbreaking.
Yeah, and it's like, it could be something just as simple as that. One drunken mistake, and now you're homeless.
Yeah, it's
and then he was actually he got back with his relationship, ended up in a tent for a while. He was working a job, I think for the city actually, while living in a tent, and then his girlfriend passed away.
Oh my goodness.
And then that just sent him on this spiral. He already felt like he had nothing than what he had that it felt safe coming home to was taken from him. And that just perpetuated his situation. And it's things like this, when you look at that guy now, you think, oh, you have all these assumptions about it. But when you get closer to him and you realize, like, no, he's a human being. He has a story.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, because, I mean, this is not a new problem that probably politically they've been trying to come up with ways to solve homelessness across
Yeah.
the
Oh, for
U.S.
sure, yeah.
And it's such a multifaceted, I mean, because you're dealing with mental health, you're dealing with, physical health, all these different, it's hard to do a one-size-fits-all approach to that. And it's very interesting because, like you're saying, you want to be empathetic towards it, but to solve it is almost a case-by-case situation.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
You can't. I don't think you can solve the whole problem.
Well, that's the thing. That I don't
don't know.
think that there is such thing as a homeless problem, and I think that's a big issue that we have as a society. Is we're often talking about solving a homeless problem, but there's no such thing as a homeless problem. There are individuals with individual problems that lead to homelessness. So you can't. It's like I wrote an article about this, but like you can't fix a car crash problem. Like there's tons of car crashes every day. You can't fix that. You can't just like give one blanket fix.
You could have
Get rid of cars.
Yeah.
Get rid of cars, yeah. That'd be like getting rid of humans in this equation.
Right.
get rid of them.
Yeah.
Get rid of money in a nutshell.
Sure. Yeah.
Universal basic income.
Yeah. But like, if you were to try to address a car crash issue, you'd have to address like faulty brakes. You'd have to address like weather issues.
Right.
You'd have to address drunk driving, impaired driving.
Yeah.
There's all these things that you'd have to address. It's the same thing with homelessness. Like, you can't do a housing first initiative because there's a lot of guys that don't want to be in a housing unit. You can't just start a soup kitchen and fix homelessness. Like there's no one fix. It's like they have to work with individuals, find what they need to connect to the resources that they need, and that's really the only way to do it. And that's why it's not solved, because that's the hardest way to do it.
I know. The least favorite meme I see online is that we have X number of houses that are unoccupied, so why don't we give them to the homeless to solve the problem? And it's like, well, there's a lot more at play than them not having shelter.
Yeah, it's homeless.
It's
but
very.
That's the word we're putting on there. But
Right.
there's so much more than
There's
that.
many.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's an interesting topic because, yes, as an individual case by case, I'm sure it's very pleasing to be able to see somebody smile because you gave them something that we take for granted. A pair of socks literally is nothing to the average person, but that could make their whole day, week, just by having something fresh and clean and for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In your opinion, like going around and like meeting these people, do you see a lot of backlash about people like not wanting their picture taken because they don't want to document this part of their life, or you see a lot of people being like, "Get my story out"?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of my approach, I never walk up with the camera out. Like I'm never like, if you look at the photographs, it's not like I'm photographing guys sleeping on the sidewalks. It's one-on-one intimate portraits, and I approach those with the same dignity and respect that I would anyone that I was photographing, of course. But my approach is that I'll go up to someone, sit down with them for a while. Usually it'll be a half an hour before we even talk about a photograph, you know? So we're just sitting down, we're talking about stories and stuff, and I'm making mental notes of some of the things I really appreciate, and eventually I'll kind of explain what I am, what I'm doing, and that looks something like, hey, we share these stories and these photographs so that the community can get involved and start to develop some compassion and give to this project so that I'm able to give back more.
Yeah.
So they understand that, like, without sharing the photographs, without sharing the stories, these care packages don't exist, really.
Yeah.
And usually with that, they understand that they're not helping me, they're actually helping the community around them. They're helping the guys that are sleeping on the streets with them. And usually because of that, they're more than happy to participate. And there's plenty of guys that I interact with on a daily basis that I've never photographed and probably never will, but I still enjoy our relationships, like our friendships.
Right.
I'll still sit down and play a game of chess with them or whatever, and it's like,
How's their chess game?
oh man. So,
Kyle's a pretty good chess player.
see, that's something that's on my mind, like, honestly, because there's a guy that I talk to a lot, who I hang out with a lot, who I have a lot of respect for. And he's really skeptical of me, and rightfully so. Like, I get that a lot.
You're
I'm
shady.
skeptical.
Sketchy,
Yeah.
no, but like these guys are like, when you go to give something for free to someone, they're like, whoa, what do you want back?
Sure.
What are you trying to do here? And this guy's in the same situation. I've never made a photograph of him, but we've talked probably 20 times at this point. And one thing he really loves is chess. He's really super good at chess. So I played him for the first time like a few days ago, and he smoked me.
Oh,
Absolutely
yeah.
smoked me. So I downloaded an app, and I've been playing like religiously on my phone, just
Chess with friends.
like. Is that a thing?
Is that
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
I played every day.
Really?
I play with a guy in France
Dang.
every day.
Same dude?
Same dude.
Really?
It's 4 years now.
Do you? Oh wow.
4 years.
What's your
Play with
record
it.
like?
What if you? It's like a.
No, he's like invited me to like come over, and his family lives over. Well, he
You
lived
guys
in
are, like-
America, and he moved to France for
No
work.
way! I had no idea. You
Yeah,
had a
and he worked for-
secret friendship.
I know.
You met a dude online.
I did.
He's catfishing you.
No, and he's checked out Cut and Caliber and everything.
It's actually me.
It's Steven. So we have played.
Whoa. We.
We probably most of these are his. So we've played at least 220 games.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and so we move like maybe once a day or once every 4 days. Depends how busy we are. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been like
That's
4
so
or 5
crazy.
years.
I didn't know you had an online relationship
Yeah.
with the dude.
Yep.
Long term too.
Let's
very long term.
let's clear
Does
that
Molly
up. It's
know
an
about that?
online friendship.
Friendship.
Yeah.
Does Molly know about him?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You guys Facebook friends yet?
Yeah.
You really are. Wow. Learning something new here.
You guys follow each other. How did you guys meet?
We just randomly got paired up because it pairs. You can challenge anybody,
Yeah.
and it just paired us up because we have an equal ranking, and so we've played like
How old is he?
Mid-40s.
Oh, okay. No.
Worked for like oil and gas company kind of
Oh, no
thing.
way.
You should send him the Outcast song. I like the way you move.
Yeah. Maybe.
Can you sing that really quick, Mikey?
No,
How's it go?
I forgot
How's
the
it go?
lyrics, actually.
I forgot.
Yeah. I like the way you move.
Yeah, I like the way you move. That's
Yeah.
all the lyrics you need, right?
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. So chess is fun like that because it's really
Strategy, man.
well,
It's all about
it's the
strat.
ultimate.
It's all about
Let's do a
strat.
chess podcast.
We could.
I would say.
All right. So the thing
I would
about
be
rooks,
horrible.
we're gonna
We
do a
can't.
whole hour on rooks
Magnus.
right now.
Magnus. what's his
Honestly,
name?
you already lost.
I
me.
have
World
his.
champion.
I have
They
his
have
app. Yeah.
Nice. Well, on top of the parking garage, they got the chess tables up there.
Yeah, maybe we should do a podcast up there.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, the guy that I'm talking about, he actually painted one. He painted a chessboard on a sidewalk.
Nice.
So
Free chess table all the time.
Yeah.
Why
That's
not?
actually not a bad idea too.
And it's weird.
It's right
because-
over by the Huff Goods workshop.
Yeah,
In the back of
which
the
I visited for the first time the other day, and I was actually quite surprised. I did. I cut it out of the last week's vlog or whatever, but like of us, you had these Surreys. Aren't they called Surreys? Like the bicycle.
I've never heard it called that. I just called it a pedicab.
I'm pretty sure that's
what
what they
I
call
always thought it was
them
called.
in New York City, like Surreys, or in New Jersey.
Basically like a bicycle, but the back has like a large seat, like a chariot of sorts.
Yeah, it's
that
like
you can sit in.
you pay like in New York and New Jersey, like you pay people and they'll just it's like a taxi almost.
Yeah.
like a rickshaw that you ride.
Rickshaw.
Yeah,
Maybe that's-
there we go.
that's-
Well,
that's
rickshaw
the
I
word.
think is the one where they walk.
Surreys are
Sure, yeah, riding
are
workshop.
like a 4-seater, whatever. And it has, like, a
Anyways, we
steering
got 2 of those in the workshop.
Yeah, so like we're going around, and I cut it out of the vlog, but I still have it. And we're going around, and like Mikey's like dodging these things, and I'm like, oh man, we're gonna hit something. And all of a sudden, immediately, boom, we hit something. And Mikey, like his first reaction was like, Steven, why did you do that? I was like, I have no control
I think he
over
kind of like
this.
leaned into it though. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, it happens. But where was this at?
Mikey's workshop.
At
So it's like I mean,
The bicycles are made out of
it's like
leather.
a big, big old room. And
It's
then, like,
it's an
there's
old
sections.
abandoned, not abandoned, but it's an old emptied post office.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
really cool. It's really cool. But let's go get back on track here. It's just you had something really cool happen to you. Actually, I'm sure I don't even know if Kyle even knows about this.
Do you know?
Did you watch?
Apparently
Did
not.
you watch his Instagram story?
No, I didn't.
yes,
I haven't
you-
been watching Instagram
Why
stories.
don't you tell? I mean, and we can talk about it more. We talked
Yeah.
about it for a second.
Yeah, we have to
So-
backtrack to align the story real quick. So because of the
Oh,
Woolsock,
God.
I know that's the worst. Because of the Woolsock project, I put myself in a position where here's the other thing. I work for Young Life, which is like a Christian teen mentorship program.
Right. You work for them, or is that just like volunteer though?
So I'm actually an employee, but it's like
Gotcha.
it's a fundraise position, and I've
Gotcha.
never put any effort into fundraising. So I've been working for them for like 2 years now, and I haven't made $1. So
Wow.
so anyways, like that, I'm really passionate about that, helping out the teenagers, and then with the Wool Sock Project and the gallery, which are my main focuses right now. All those are, for lack of better terms, nonprofit endeavors. Like they don't make me any darn money. And so I really want to keep focusing on those things. And I realized our lease came up at the house I was living in, and I realized, you know, where we were planning to move was actually like a higher income area, and I could afford it, but it would have to shift my focus in life towards
More money.
Making that dollar.
prioritizing money more, and
Right.
so I had to make the decision: am I going to go that route, or am I going to eat dirt for a while? And I decided to eat dirt because I'm young and I can afford to do this for now. And so I purchased a van and converted that into a little living area. And I've been living in a van for a few months. And that was a really, really interesting transition for me, mostly because previously I didn't think I could spend as much time with myself as I do.
Yeah.
Because I've been so used to having roommates and stuff. But when I say I converted this thing into a living area, it's pretty basic. Like, really, it's just a van with a bed in it. And I don't have water, I don't have electricity, I don't have anything. It's just like I have a bed and a pee bottle, you know?
You just pee in a
Oh, a
bottle?
honey bucket.
Yeah.
You just
Right.
pee in a bottle? You don't
Just
like
pee
go
in a
out
bottle.
into the nature?
It depends. Like, if you wake up at 3 a.m. and
Where
like,
do you, all right, now here's the question, like, you don't need to tell people like where you are parking.
okay, the
at.
address is.
But like, where do you go to Walmart parking lots or like?
You definitely can.
Yeah.
But the thing about Walmart parking lots is you can only stay there like 1 or 2 days before
Yeah.
they like kick you out. They don't want you to be a permanent resident of the parking lot.
Even though like the parking lot is like always half empty.
Yeah,
They
totally.
have plenty of space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Walmart's, I imagine. We used to do that whole thing. But
Like during the it's funny because there was one weekend where this was like a few weeks ago. I just left my car downtown Friday to Sunday because I was always doing something and people were always taking me, and then I just like
Yeah,
I'll
it's
pick it
fine.
up tomorrow. But yeah, no ticket, no nothing.
Cool.
Do you do that too? Like
No,
just like kind of park on the side.
You know, when I first got the van, I was staying at like friends' apartment buildings, like in their like visitor parking areas and stuff. And for the most part, though, I was staying down in Ship Creek. And I remember I was hanging out with my mom one day, and she had asked me like, "Hey, where are you parking right now?" And I was like, "Oh, down in Ship Creek, like down in the industrial area." And she's like, "So you're literally living in a van down by the river right
You're
now?"
Chris Farley, man.
Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, totally." My mom roasted me.
living in a van by the river.
Yeah, I'm sure you get that a lot. Actually.
But-
I'm sure people have like
Yeah.
Have
pulled
made
that.
joke.
Yeah, the van down by the river.
Yeah, totally. But since we're Alaska and we're the land of the midnight sun, I went down there one night, probably 1 a.m. to go set up camp for the night, put up my window covers and go to sleep. And there was still tons of people down there fishing and pulling their boats out of the dock and everything. And I just decided it doesn't really feel comfortable anymore. So I packed up my stuff and I texted a pastor of this church that I used to go to a while back, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to park the van at the church tonight. I apologize. I'll be out of there by 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And he texted me back right away, and he's like, "I'm appointing you head of security for the church." And so now I just...
So now you have like a place, like full place to stay, basically.
Yeah. So now there's like a little wooded area behind this church, and I just parked the van
Oh, I
in the
think I
wooded
know what
area.
church you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right.
Yeah,
So
so-
you just kind of walk around with your flashlight and, "Hey, kids,
Totally, yeah.
get out of here!
Get out of here, hoodlums.
No, I just...
little rascals!"
I just let my guard dog out. Yeah, my dog
Oh,
lives in the
yeah.
van. I let him out, and he just runs around.
How is Boogie? I haven't seen him in forever.
He's doing good, man.
Oh, Boogie.
He has really bad separation anxiety, so I think he really likes living in the van, actually, because
Yeah.
we spend a lot more time together
Yeah.
than if I had to leave him at home while I work all day.
Yeah. True. Okay. So yeah.
Back to the story, though,
Yep.
right? Yeah. So a few weeks ago, I came across something on Instagram. A guy named Travis Burke. Who,
That was close. Chris and Travis. I always get those confused.
Yeah. Well, I was going Burkhardt and then Burke.
Oh, Chris Burkhardt. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, and I met them the same day, actually. I met them in Yosemite a while back.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Anyways,
They're great photographers.
Yeah.
Shout out if you're listening to this podcast.
I'm sure they do. Yeah.
No, they don't. There's no
They
way.
will now.
They
They
will now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
so,
tag 'em.
Travis is doing this contest where he's giving away his van, which he had fully decked out and been living out of a couple of years. It's just an old Dodge van, but he's like put a bunch of solar panels on it. He's murdered it out. He put a kitchenette in there. It's a lot better of a position than mine was. Along with that, he's giving away like $6,000 in gear from his sponsors and things like that. And it was a storytelling contest, so I said, I'm a decent storyteller. I'll enter it. And so I recorded a little video talking about the Wool Sock Project and why I decided to live in a van. And I got a call a few weeks later to tell me that I was a finalist, which was really cool. And so I went and I searched down like every video I could find of everyone else who submitted for the contest, and there were some really great videos, some people telling some really great stories and putting a lot more effort into their video than I did, because mine was just recorded on my phone in the front seat of the van. Just one take. And I got a call back a few days later, and they said I won. And so I'm moving up in the world in that I have electricity and running water again, which is really cool.
And you have solar panels. So you sent me the video of him making it. So I watched it.
Cool.
It's actually like it's a legit, like, you got a little working, like a little desk area. You have a nice foldable bed, so it like folds into a sofa or a
It's
bed.
basically like an RV, but just a really compact RV.
Yeah, I mean it's like it's those, like, you see all these.
What kind of van is it?
It's like an old Dodge.
Nice.
Yeah. You see like couples, mostly couples, like, you know, all right, well, what we're going to do is we're going to quit our jobs, we're going to buy a van, we're going to renovate it, and we're going to go travel. Like, and that's what he did.
It did.
With the van, that's why it's there. So it's actually really rad. What kind of gear are you getting? Too? I didn't even see that. I just knew the van.
Yeah, they're like GoPro's one of the sponsors.
Man, you're going to be set.
Yeah,
that's dope.
There's a really nice camera bag company called F-Stop, and they're one of the sponsors, so I'm stoked on that.
Dude.
Cliff Bar is one of the sponsors.
Yeah, every time.
A good old Cliff Bar.
The whole video. So like I was telling Mikey and Kyle, like the video is like of him making his van, you know, his process. But like every drawer he opens is like
there's
Cliff Bar here.
Bars,
Oh yeah, well, you know, over here is where I keep my Cliff Bars. I wonder if Cliff Bar is a sponsor. And
well, you know what's the cool thing about it is I think through this, through talking with Travis, like we're talking about potentially having Cliff Bar come on as a sponsor for Wool Sock Project.
Oh man, see, that's great.
Which is really nice because I spend a lot of money on granola bars every month.
Yeah, and then didn't you and Joshua Coombs, didn't you guys talked about Cliff Bar, wasn't it?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, we were identifying some people that we wanted to approach for sponsorship, and they were one of them. So
that would be really cool.
There's also like a clothing company, so maybe there's potential to get sock sponsorship, which I've tried to hunt down before and it hasn't worked out yet. So
have you ever thought about making your own socks?
Leather socks.
No. No, I mean like making, like getting them made, like tailoring socks to like what the homeless people, what they need in socks. Have you thought about doing that? And then it's like
it's like a Swiss Army knife built into it.
I mean, if it comes with every pair of socks comes with a little Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would be. I don't know if I'm the guy to innovate the sock industry, but I like the idea.
I don't know. You can have that one. It's free.
Yeah,
that's a freebie. That's on the house.
For free. Yeah.
What do you got queued up over here?
Well, I just I read that because you were talking about that earlier about how a lot of your endeavors were only benefiting yourself, and that's why you kind of switch gears. And I just read this morning, and it like stuck with me. And then you just said that, but basically it's a quote. I forget who this guy. He's an entrepreneur, but he says, "If you only master yourself and you don't help anyone else, we'd call you happy, but nobody would define you as successful." And I was like, that's probably true, because we spend so much time like trying to like get ourselves to be the best we can, and like Steve and I are always talking like, how can we be better and more efficient and blah 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 blah. And that's probably a route to happiness to an extent, but helping other people is kind of like maybe what you would define as successful in life. And it's like, that's how other people know that you're out there doing stuff, is because you're helping people. If you're only just focused internally on you, it's like you're just a person that seems to have some stuff together. And I was just thinking about that because, I mean, we spend probably too much time focused on ourselves and getting better.
Oh, for sure.
And not thinking enough about like, how do we use our better selves to bring something back to the community.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to like adding value. Like
in a way,
saying. Yeah, like how do you add value? And like adding like education to whatever you're doing. They always say like that's a good growth strategy or whatever. But then really you're like, well, I'm doing it because it ultimately helps me.
It helps me in the big story.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, like everything we do, it has to be selfish to a point. But
to a point, yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of a weird concept because it's like I'm helping others, but for my growth. That's what we would be doing for Instagram or whatever. But it's just an interesting thought. But yeah, so tell us about let's switch gears here a little bit. Aquila Collective. So you were saying it was a collective helping artists, through organization, through whatever, and now it's a gallery space. What are ideas? What's coming down? So you guys have had a few events. It's kind of like an office space, or will be, or is working towards that.
Sure. So like to address the collective side of things, like that was just a harebrained idea I had a while back, because I don't really like approaching companies and stuff as Mikey Huff. Like, it always feels weird to try to sell yourself on things. It's something I never felt really comfortable with. But when I have like an organization behind it, or I have a collective group of artists around me, then I can feel a lot better like pitching that group, like saying like, oh, work with the Aquila Collective, like JaVale Rennie, he's a really talented guy. Willie Dalton, he's a great videographer. It's a lot easier for me to go about project pitching through, like when I feel like I'm pitching my friends and not just myself.
Right. When you have the entity to kind of be behind.
Yeah, and it felt like we could do a lot more if we were just working together. And I really hate that photography feels like a competition, and like a one-man sport. Like there's no team effort to it. And I wanted to bring.
That's with everything, though.
Yeah, but the people around me, they really feed into my creative energy. Like I was sitting at the studio the other day, sitting down working, just like editing on my computer, and Oscar came in, who's another one of the members of the collective. He came in and he said, "Oh, I was just over at the 4th of July parade. It's like so cool over there." And I was just out photographing, and I was like, "Whoa, didn't even think about that." And I grabbed my camera, slammed my computer shut, and ran over there to go photograph for a while. And so like having those guys around me that are pushing me, like, "Oh yeah, go take some pictures." That's really helpful. But we started doing artist management a lot with the like Northwesty kids that are killing it on Instagram with like 1 million followers, but are still like working for backpacks and granola bars,
Dope.
And
shout out to Cliff Bars.
Yeah, one of the guys that Willie started to represent, I won't give any names or anything, but he was really happy working photographer, and he was living out of the back of his car, and he was doing really well for his age. But Willie took him on. He started representing him. Started getting him to be paid his worth, and he just bought his first house with cash.
Whoa!
And it's in Hawaii.
Oh man!
Yeah. So that was really cool to see that happen for him, and through that we've got to work with companies that as a collective we probably wouldn't get a chance to work with, like Apple or Ford. I think was another one that Willie got to do a negotiation with, which is really cool.
That's cool.
And it's just been really awesome to see the growth in the artists that Willie does primarily the artist representation, but it's really cool to see the growth in these guys and get them to see what they're worth and how they can make this a sustainable living. And we took the reserve money that we had earned through the artist representation and decided it would be better off not to just pocket that, but instead to use it to benefit the Anchorage community. And so we opened up a gallery down the road, and our idea at first was just to do rotating shows and switch things up, but we've done some concerts, we've done some artist shows, like our most recent one was there was a bunch of printmakers who came in and did a t-shirt show, but it wasn't like just racks of clothing. Like they all created these like booths that were not interactive, but like they were like an environment that you were stepping into. Like they created these art pieces that had t-shirts as part of them, and that was really cool to see. It's difficult to explain. Our first show was we like Tyvek'd the entire space, like just covered it. And if you're not familiar with Tyvek, it's like that paper siding that you put on before you do the siding of your house. And so we Tyvek'd the entire side of inside of our studio and just had graffiti artists come in and just spray paint the entire studio. We told them you could spray paint the roof, you could spray paint the floor, we don't care. And they just went to town with it. It was really cool to see it. But what was most cool for me was like we had young guys and girls in there working, and we were able to give them a space that they could work. It was in the winter too, so it's like, or like in the cold months. I don't think it was quite winter, but like they could go in there and work at night and not worry about getting arrested. They wouldn't have to be cold. But also we paid for all their materials, so we paid for all their spray paint and everything. So it's like they just had a chance to just go have fun. Yeah, and that was really cool to see.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is cool. Well,
no, I got a couple more questions.
Okay.
So I have two questions, and then I'll say them, and then you can answer them how you want. Number one is, you keep saying we're not taking any money. I'm not taking any money. I'm not making a profit. I'm not doing this. I'm curious. How do you live? What do you like?
Yeah.
Do you make money on like little photo shoots here and there? I mean, are you just like, because like all this stuff is non-profit, and so, but I mean, like, you got to eat. Daddy's got to eat. So I mean, like,
I don't know if Mikey says
what do you
Catchphrase.
What are you doing that, like, other
Pays
people
the day-to-day.
Yeah, like what? I mean, if you don't mind me asking.
Is that 2 questions or is that 1?
That's one.
Okay. You
Yeah.
want me to answer that one?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah. So mostly it is photo work at this point. So I have a couple clients that are like that are on a retainer basis. So
Gotcha.
I'll work with them on a monthly basis, and that's honestly that barely covers my bills. Like, I have cell phone, I have credit cards, I have things I have to pay on
Yeah.
a monthly, and car insurance that I have to pay on a monthly basis.
Right.
And that covers that, and then the photo world is interesting because it ebbs and flows. Like, people often say, like, oh, you're so lucky because you get to work for yourself and everything, and it is really incredible.
Yeah.
I don't want to downplay that. I love it, but also at the same time, it's like
cyclical.
I don't know when my next paycheck is going to come for the most
yeah.
part. And a lot of times it'll be like, wow, I had a really killer month this month. I got, a bunch of gigs and I'm doing really well. And then the next 2 months, it's like I didn't get anything.
Nothing.
And now
Yeah.
I'm just totally depleted. Like right now, my bank account, I couldn't really fill both my gas tanks if I needed
Yeah.
to. The van
I
has
heard.
2 gas tanks.
Oh, that's kind of nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so it ebbs and flows. Like I said, some months it's like, well, I don't have anything. I'm putting it on the credit card.
Yeah.
I'll have to make it up next
I feel
month.
that. I feel like, well, because like you were. Oh yeah, we were just hanging out. We're recording a podcast right now. Nick with Williwaw, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Hey, Nick.
No, you were the first person, because when I was thinking about going freelance, you were the person I hit up, and you did say that, and there's gonna be some great weeks where you're gonna be like, this is the best thing ever, and then there's gonna be some slow weeks, and I've definitely felt that.
And you always want to base your year off your best week. It's going to be like, if I times this by 12
Yeah.
this month,
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll be doing good.
I'll be
No,
great.
killing it,
No,
yeah.
and that never happens.
And I realized the other day, I was thinking along those same lines. I thought to myself, like, I'm really lucky I get to work for myself. I don't work that hard anymore, it feels like. I probably don't work a full-time schedule anymore. Like, I don't know. And so I was like, I'm just going to I'll just have a regular schedule tomorrow, and I'll time. At the end of the day, I'll sit down and I'll add up all my hours that I worked.
Yeah.
And the next day, I was closing up my laptop at 3 a.m., and I looked back and I was like, I worked 14 hours today. I was like, I guess I do work harder than I think I do. It's just that we work for ourselves.
We were talking about this the other day, actually.
Yeah.
It's like, because I feel like, when you're sitting at 9 to 5, you're like 8 hours, and you're forced to work on that one thing. But being a freelancer, and me being like super ADD, I'm able to like work on this, work on that, work on this, work on that, and then, but as long as I want, and I think that's the beauty of it too. You get to work on what you want, when you want.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that's cool.
What was the second part to that?
Second part is, do you have any? So, technically, you're making it. In some people, in my eyes and a lot of people's eyes, you're making it as a photographer. You have a nonprofit that's doing really well. You have Aquila. You have all this this stuff that you're working on. That's pretty. It's pretty big. It's growing. What are some tips, tricks to aspiring photographers out there, that want to be, better at their craft, and want to get out there,
I would just say freelancers in general.
Yeah.
Just people that
freelancers
just
in
want to be
general.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. I'm pinpointing photographers because you are one.
Yeah,
but
to speak to the industry that I know, and I'm sure some of this is applicable elsewhere, but my main basis would be on photography. But I see a lot of guys like thinking that they have to wait for permission, whether that's from an art school, whether that's from a job. They're searching for like some permission, and for me, the only way that I know to get better is to just do it.
Yeah.
And so it's cliche to a sense, but you really can't wait around for someone to pay you to do what you want to do. Like, you have to just go out and do it. And you know
So
that
true.
because you did that for a long time.
So true.
But you have to just, like, I made that mistake when I was early in photography. Like, I was waiting for gigs to come along before I'd work, and then I realized there had been month gaps that I hadn't really shot anything. And now I realize you really just have to go out and shoot the stuff that you want to shoot and share that, because you have to be putting out into the world what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I think I'm a really good food photographer, I think I'm a decent food photographer, but I don't share any of that, so why would anyone ever hire me to do food photography, you know? So it's on me, the fact that I don't get hired for food photography, even though I like doing it, you know?
Right.
And so it's the same thing I see with a lot of guys, where they're like, oh no, I know I'm better than this guy. And it really, in the world that we live in right now, it doesn't really matter who's best.
Yeah.
What matters is who's actively out there sharing it and who's actually putting in the time and the effort. Because there are guys in this town that I don't think are incredible photographers, but are outworking me because they're out sharing me.
Yeah.
They're out networking me.
Right.
They're out doing. They're working harder in these
front of
ways.
more eyes than
and that's all that really matters in our digital age, is like being in front of eyes. So,
There you go.
Joe, it doesn't matter if your work isn't exactly where you want it to be. It doesn't matter if it's perfect and polished yet.
Right.
Just start sharing it,
Yeah.
and the world will start seeing it.
Do you think the best way to do that is through Instagram?
For photography, yes.
Yeah.
As a image maker and artist, in a sense, if you're a visual medium artist that's not video, then I think Instagram's the best and really the only way to go. Jovel, my business partner, he's always preaching just pitching everything to every platform, because why not? You know,
Yeah, sure.
You're just present everywhere, just in case people are looking. But I think Instagram should be our main focus as photographers.
Yep.
For me, honestly, I mostly dabble with stories more than I dabble with actually posting on Instagram anymore. But
Stories as in like writing stories?
no, it's an Instagram stories.
Oh, story. Okay, sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking to my dad over here. Jeez.
What is stories?
What is Instagram?
You know, dude, I did a presentation at the museum. Jovel, Willie, and we all did a presentation at the museum on Instagram growth and like how to grow a digital audience. And
Nobody showed up, but okay.
It was mellow, actually. There was only like a handful of people in the crowd.
I feel like that would actually be pretty good.
I thought so too. But so we go through this whole thing. I felt like we killed it. I was like, dude, that was pretty decent. Like, we went over everything.
Crushed it.
We actually prepared like a slideshow and everything, which is seldom.
Look
Like,
at
usually
you
we just like
guys.
go in, just like we'll just
Wing it.
we'll wing it, you know.
What the heck's the hashtag?
So at the end, we opened the floor up for discussion. We're like, does anyone have any questions? And this guy that's in the front row, bless his heart, raised his hand and said, "So what's Instagram?"
Oh,
And we're like,
love
dude,
it.
you just sat through an hour of us talking about Instagram growth, and you did you could have pitched us in at any second.
Yeah.
How old was he?
He
Roughly.
was like in his 50s or 60s, yeah.
Why did he even go to that
I had no
He
clue.
thought it was something else, probably.
Maybe.
I loved him though. I was like, dude, you are the most patient guy I know.
That is very patient. Yeah.
Graham crackers?
Now, here's another one question, and then we'll wrap it up. Do you have any tips for growth on Instagram?
What's Instagram?
I'm the worst person to talk about this because I just don't care anymore.
But I mean, now you're not small by any means on Instagram.
Yeah, there was a point in time where I really cared about it.
All right. I mean, what were your tips and tricks back then? Were you posting every day? Were you hashtagging every time?
Yeah, so
Were you networking? Were you commenting on other people?
I'm pretty sure I've got shadow banned, so I stopped using hashtags. Which everyone knows what shadow banning is at the point.
If you're on
I don't have to
Instagram,
explain
you know
it,
what
right?
it
Why don't you tell the people what shadow banning is?
It basically it just makes it so your hashtags don't work anymore.
Yeah.
You just don't appear on hashtag lists anymore. I think it's like people report
If you
your
spam
account
them,
or whatever,
yeah.
and
if you spam the same hashtags
Sure, yeah,
over and
that's
over
what it
again,
is,
a
yeah.
lot of times they'll stop
Whatever.
showing up.
And so, I think the best way, honestly, is to just keep sharing and to produce content that you'd want to see. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want. I don't preach producing content for your audience anymore, and that's obviously a way to develop growth. Is like think about what your audience wants and develop that kind of stuff. But who cares? Because those aren't the people you want to see your work anyways.
Yeah,
So, like,
right. You do it for you.
The stuff that I share now, people hate it. No one cares about it anymore. But it's the stuff I care about.
Yeah.
It's the stuff I like shooting. So it's like, eventually, if I keep sharing that stuff, an audience will come along that appreciates it.
Yeah.
So
Hypothetically, yeah.
I would say don't even worry about growth, because growth doesn't matter. Because you can do these hacks to get quick growth. You can buy followers. You can whatever.
Buy accounts.
You can
Follow for a follow.
yeah. You can
unfollow.
join Instagram pods. You can do all this crap. But like the people that join along in that journey aren't gonna be the people that you need to be showing stuff to anyways. It's
True.
just gonna be the people that are looking for a quick follow back, and it's not worth it.
And
Like,
it's not like organic. Like that person's not
What word?
organic.
Oh,
you said organic.
Sorry. I'm struggling.
That's such a dumb thing to laugh at. What's it organic?
No, but those kind of people, like, you're right. That's the audience you don't want to build because they're not gonna care about your art. They're not gonna comment or
They're not a true
share.
fan.
Not a true fan. Not one of
That's
those 1,000.
1,000 true fans. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Work on those. Don't worry about getting 100,000
Yeah.
fake fans.
There you
It
go.
just won't do anything for you.
No.
So, well, to wrap this up, where can everybody find all your stuff?
I'm just gonna pitch them to the Wool Sock Project. It's at Wool Sock Project or woolsock.org. And I guess if you want to follow along anything personal, it's at Mikey Huff on Instagram.
Cool.
Right on.
Cool.
Well, thanks for sitting down with us.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure learning about everything. High fives. Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
That
That was for the
Cool.
podcast.
That was.
Thanks, Mikey.
All right.
Appreciate it.